Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's live session. My name is Josephine Warner, and I'm a former corporate executive who helped my clients to build and optimize their offers. And today I'm here together with Angela Sandas, who is a virtual events specialist. Hi, Angela. So happy to have you here.
Hi, Josephine. I'm so glad that you wanted to have me as a guest.
Yeah, because one big thing that, when we build and optimize our offers, we need to have an audience to build and optimize for and to. And the biggest thing that I really love holding like virtual events and webinars and free workshops and things like that to build the know, like, and trust. And also kind of that is the segue or the launch way or whatever you want to call it into from a free offer into a paid client. And I'm here together with you today to talk about, it's a two-part mini series. And today we're going to talk about the lead generation into those events, because there are two key points when we look at those events, whether they really convert and or not, or if you're just like holding an event and there is no one really watching. Then the one piece is the lead generation to fill those events. And the second part in our mini series is going to be about kind of the structure of those events, because it's not just helping to hold an event and talk and talk and talk and hope that someone will buy your offer in the end. It actually is a real structure, and we are going to cover that structure in our next part in this mini series. But today we are going to talk about the lead generation on how to fill your events. And I know that you have identified 3 key points that are so important, and to kind of show those key points, what they actually mean, we are going to use my own last masterclass as a little bit as a case study for this. So Angela, what are those key points? If we first talk about the 3 key points and then we go into each and every one of them.
Yeah, so if we look at all kinds of virtual events, of course, this is not just for short events. Yeah, the lead generation is a huge part of it, because if you have no one to sell to, well, we're not going to get any clients anyway. So it also needs to be the right people, because if we don't have the right people, no one is going to buy your offer anyway, which leads us to the first kind of key, and that is the message. The messaging you put out in the world, that is going to either attract people or not, and it's going to attract the right people. The second thing is the consistency of doing lead generation. And we can talk massively about that, right? And so we're going to also dig into that more deeply, the consistency of not only how we showed up, but also in the message. And the last part, simplicity. Okay, simplicity from anything from lead generation to how people can sign up, show up, etc. So those are the 3 things: the message, the consistency, and the simplicity.
And I definitely agree. And if we look at my masterclass, where we generated 350 organic leads into that masterclass, which is, by the way, the most organic leads that I have ever held, because this wasn't my first free online event that I held, but it was the first online event where I had so many organic leads into it. And if we look into the messaging, the consistency and the simplicity, I definitely agree. Those are the key things that really made this masterclass so successful as it was. And so if we start with the messaging, if we start by digging a little bit deeper into the messaging, what are your thoughts about the messaging, Angela, and how to kind of make sure that you nail it? And then I can add my thoughts on how we did for my masterclass.
So what I see, if I look at my clients, we all know that we are the expert. We are not questioning whether you know what to talk about or not, but there is a huge difference between you speaking as an expert and you speaking as your dream client would. So the simplicity and the messaging of the words that you use needs to be the words, the language that your dream client use. Otherwise, it's just not going to be a match, because they have no idea what to talk about. So you kind of speak above their head. So in the messaging in itself, you want to make sure you speak only to your dream client, the one that you know you can help, in the language that they use, right? So there needs to be an understanding of your dream clients, what they say that they want, right? How do they express it in the way they would? If you go out and ask them, what kind of problem do you experience? The way that they say it, that is the message that you want to make sure that you use. So you speak directly to that person and don't care about trying to attract everyone. Okay, that is a huge mistake. You want to focus on only your dream client in your message, the way that they speak. All other people don't care about them. They are not the ones that you kind of want to attract anyway, right? So really kind of nail the message to your specific dream client. So you make sure that you only, or at least try to only, get people that you know are a right fit for the offer, right? That is kind of the messaging part, and to really understand your dream client and speak only to that person.
And if we think about the masterclass so I held a LinkedIn Clarity masterclass, and this was a completely new masterclass for me. We've never held it before. The offer that we built afterwards too is also a completely new offer. So this was a completely new masterclass. It was a completely new offer, meaning we didn't have any data or anything on the messaging, but I had got an indication from people, including you, Angela, saying, you really need to talk about LinkedIn. You really need to talk about LinkedIn. And I was like a little bit resistant to that. And then I got my first clients that I helped with LinkedIn. So I got like really good case studies, but that's not enough. I needed to go out more. I needed to get more kind of like external validation. Is this really something that people want? And since I'm kind of like a heavy user of LinkedIn myself, I can't use my own challenges and my own fears and my own beliefs, because even though I started like zero connection, zero anything, I was so afraid of LinkedIn. That is some years back, and I don't remember the exact language I had then. So to go out and really talk to people, first of all, validating, is this something that people even want in the first place? And it doesn't only have to do with whether you're building a masterclass or a webinar, or whether you're actually building an offer in the end. But it's like validating, is this something that people really want and need? And if they do, how do they speak about it? Like, make sure you collect the data on how they speak about it. So that is a very good one. And I think that was really, really key. That also showed to us that, oh my God, we really nailed the messaging on this one, because we got very many signups immediately to this masterclass. So if we then move into the second piece, which is consistency, what is it that you see? Because you've held like over 300 virtual events, Angela, and some of them I assume have gone better than others. And so what is the points that you see when it comes to consistency?
One thing that I'm going to mention right away is that I usually talk about, and this is something I see everywhere, and me included. So I have done a lot of virtual events that turned into crickets. I have done virtual events that had no signups that converted zero. So it's not like just because I run 350 events that all of these events was a success. Okay, I done massive amount of trial and error, especially during the pandemic, after the pandemic, and in 2023, because it has changed a lot. But one thing that is kind of you can kind of draw back to is consistency. And I know you have heard it so many times. I need to be consistent posting online. It's not just that, because if you want this result over here, you want a masterclass that have 100 signups, for an example, the energy you put in to invite people to that needs to match that. Because what I see a lot is that, oh, I want this, but I put out 2 posts, and now I sit here with only 2 people, and I get irritated and bummed over it. And I think the entire thing is a failure. It's not. It's like if you have a masterclass, you can see it's a party. You need to invite people to the party. Otherwise, people are not going to show up. And if you have no one showing up, you're not going to sell anything. There will be no clients. That doesn't mean the strategy is thrown out the window. It's just the consistency is not there. And I'm not only talking about consistency showing up. I'm talking about consistently speak only to your dream client. Consistency in actually invite people in posts, in DMs, in emails, and whatever that might look like. But also in the consistency of how you show up, the consistency of who you want to attract and who you're not for. Because during your lead generation, you can't be all over the place. You want to really be consistent in, I am going to invite people to my masterclass. That is my main goal these 3 weeks. And I only want to invite this person. And also be consistent on the platform that you're on. Because for me, for an example, my main platform is Facebook. I wasn't that consistent on LinkedIn. And that shows in the result, because most of my leads came from Facebook, not from LinkedIn. But if I would have been exactly the same consistent on LinkedIn that I was on Facebook, that would have gotten me more leads, right? So it's important to understand that it's not just consistency, everybody talk about it. It's to actually look at where and how do I need to be consistent throughout the lead generation period, not only in the beginning or in the middle or at the end. It's the complete 3 weeks or 2 weeks, however long you do lead generation, right? So that is kind of I have a lot to say about that. So
I know, and it's like, it's also about and for me, it's the other way around. I'm more on LinkedIn and less on Facebook and Instagram. And this exactly the same thing. We could see that the leads that I generated are mainly from LinkedIn, whereby for this particular offer, it would probably have been better if I had been more on Instagram and more on Facebook. But it's also like we need to, as you usually say, Angela, you say you need to get, how do you say, you need to get out of, how do you say, like you need to get out of yourself?
You need to get out of your own way, because
get out of your own way.
For example, we talk about inviting an email list, and people say, yeah, but I can only send one email because otherwise they will feel like, no, you say that they will feel like, I mean, that is you standing in your own way. You need to invite people. If you don't invite anyone, no one is going to show up. It's just that simple. Okay. And that is you I say, stand in your own way. You need to get out of your own way.
Exactly. And not just send one email, not just do only one post and hope that, but no one signed up. Well, how many times did you post? How many? And not only post in stories, for example, because stories is only shown to your current audience. You need to be, like we also usually say, everywhere. Like, show up some everywhereness when you're kind of like generating people to join in your masterclass or webinar, because the thing that you're teaching are useful. People need them, right? So you're doing them a disservice by not showing up, by not inviting them. So that is super important. The third one is simplicity, keeping it simple. Yeah. And I really like that. And I think we've seen so many too complex processes and things that doesn't really, they probably work, but we don't have huge teams behind us. So it needs to be simple. And I think this was a perfect example. So can you give a little bit more insights on that one, Angela?
Yeah, so of course there's simplicity, how to do the entire event in itself. But if we look at the simplicity when it comes to lead generation specifically, like the runway before we do kind of the event in itself, because that is, of course, we're going to talk about that next week. You want to make sure it should be so easy for people to sign up and show up. As soon as you create a barrier somewhere along the way, you will lose people. The simplicity in the messaging. Use simple words so people don't need to think twice. They don't need to spend an extra calorie trying to figure out what this masterclass is about. Simplicity in the message, simplicity on the landing page. So when they click on the link, it's easy to click on the link on social media. Don't create strange things about that. Easy to sign up. They also land on a page is easy to use and easy to sign up. So as soon as they land on a page, they can sign up right away. No complexity. They don't need to kind of read through 2 hours of content and then, oh, maybe I want to sign up. Make it simple to sign up. Make it simple to actually show up as well. That is a part of next week. So not going to kind of talk about that. But in the runway from they meeting you online, simplicity in the messaging, they get it. Simplicity in the landing page, they get the landing page and they can easily sign up. Simplicity in the way that they can show up. It's easy for them to understand, how am I showing up? What do I need to do? So simplicity is from the beginning to the end, because unfortunately, when we talk about masterclasses, webinars, virtual, people already in the word think, oh, it's so complicated. No, it's not. It's a simple strategy on the planet that you can use to get like, know, and trust, generate leads, and sell your offer. Because you can just show up and connect with the audience. We are the ones that make this complicated. Lead generation is simple, really easy. We make it complicated. You stand in your own way. We can go back to that. So everything from getting people to actually be able to sign up, I would say, needs to be simple.
Yeah. And what I can add to that, I have a client who is a little bit like, feels a little bit intimidated, and she compares herself to the Mind Valley presentations. So like, yeah, but you know, they have a whole team behind, you know, it's not, you can't compare yourself to them. And the people who want to work with you, they don't expect a Mind Valley presentation either. What they're expecting is you. They want to have you. Keep it simple. And that is also one of the feedbacks that I got during my own presentation, was that a person that had been to many different presentations, had seen about the same topic about LinkedIn, but the difference, the key was how I showed up, like the way I spoke. And we will talk about a little bit more about the structure in next week's session, but it's like keeping it simple, as you say, making it simple from the messaging. If we talk about email or we talk about social media, crystal clear there. Moving into the landing page, it's the same message. You're not confusing. You're not adding a lot of things in between that might make people think, but I read here this thing and here it's this thing. Well, you lost me now. Because that is, again, where you lose people, right? So keeping it simple here, that increases the conversion rate of the people on the landing page. Don't try to make it fancier than it needs to be. People don't need fancy, right? Make it simple, make it crystal clear and simple. Remove any friction, as you say, and don't forget, when people have signed up, when they said, yes, I'd like to attend this webinar, don't forget to kind of nurture them afterwards. That is also simple. You have an email system set up, making sure that you continue to talk to the people, and not just like when you start the lead generation, let's say 3 weeks before you hold it, and then they don't hear anything from you until you hold the webinar. It has to be, you have to kind of talk to them and during that time. So I think those things are really key. So we're talking about messaging, we're talking about consistency, and we're talking about simplicity. Are there any other things that you would like to add, Angela, before we share that you actually also have a really cool webinar coming up yourself?
If you look at lead generation, my biggest advice is to really understand that the reason why you probably are not generating the leads that you want are these 3 key points, okay? And one of the biggest is that you kind of stand in your own way, so you don't want to come off as talking about your workshop every day. You don't want to send out too many emails, whatever. You make it kind of all about yourself instead of making it about them. And also that sometimes when we see the last thing you shared is that you get people to sign up maybe 3 weeks before. You need to understand that you need to honor them that have said yes and nurture them. So focusing on the people that are actually there instead of focusing on the people that are not there is also one of the things that I see and that I can identify if I look at my clients, and including how I did webinars before. So yeah, I have a training coming up, because one thing that we have seen when it comes to virtual event is that the shorter event now have an increase in show up rate, in conversion rate, because there is so much noise going on online that gets people draws people attention. So I wanted to run a training specifically for a shorter event, but also how they have elevated and changed throughout 2023, because the way that we did masterclasses and webinars before just doesn't cut it anymore. Okay, it's just not going to work. It might be that you have been having a masterclass, masterclass or a webinar that already converted, and now you see crickets. Then this is for you, because we're going to, of course, talk about what we did today, how to fill it, how to run it. We're going to share, Josephine is going to share more next week, how to run it, how to sell from it. But one of these three things is not going to work if we do not understand the changes of virtual events. So we're going to talk a lot about what do you actually need to change in 2024 to run webinars and masterclasses that are actually successful. So yes, that is a training. It's a free training that I host, the Sell with Webinars Evolution training. You're all invited.
Exactly. And I will share the link underneath. So making it simple for you to just join us. Make sure you click on the link and register for that event, because you definitely don't want to miss that one. As an example, I gained 60 completely new, amazing clients based on that exact process that we're going to share with you. So make sure you can click the link, register today, because you do not want to miss the Selling with Webinars Evolution training. That is a free training that Angela is hosting, and I'm there as a little bit like a co-host. So would love to see you all there, as many of you as possible. So thank you all. Next week, we are going to go into the structure of how to structure your webinar, because it's not just to show up and hope for the best. You need to have a solid structure to really move them into the smooth transition into the pitch, so that people actually know what to do afterwards to become your clients. So thank you all so much for being here with us today, and I see you next week, and I hope to see all of you in the Sell with Webinars